Hold on to your seats. Today, we're diving into the world of ultra-rare Washington quarters that could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. These rare coins have fascinated collectors for years, and you won't believe how much they're worth. Stick around to the end to see if you're sitting on a hidden treasure. The history of the 1969 Washington quarter. The 1969 Washington quarter is part of the iconic Washington quarter series, which has been in circulation since 1932. The series features the image of George Washington, the first president of the United States, on the obverse, while the reverse shows an eagle, symbolizing strength and freedom. The 1969 coin falls within the silver era, 1965 to 1970, when U.S. quarters were still made of 90% silver before the mint switched to copper-nickel-clad composition in 1971. Why is the 1969 Washington quarter so rare? You might be asking yourself, what makes this coin so special, and why is it worth more than just 25 cents? There are several reasons why certain 1969 quarters are worth much more than their face value. Let's take a closer look at the factors that increase their value. Minting errors. The most exciting part about the 1969 Washington quarter is the error coins. Coins that were misstruck, improperly minted, or had other unusual characteristics are highly valuable. The 1969 DDO, double die obverse, error is one of the most famous and rare variations of the 1969 Washington quarter. These errors show a doubling of the design on the obverse, particularly on the date and the words, Liberty, and, In God We Trust. The 1969 DDO is so rare that it has become one of the most sought-after varieties in the Washington quarter series. If you happen to find one of these rare errors, you could be looking at a coin worth thousands of dollars. Silver content. Another key reason the 1969 Washington quarter stands out is its silver content. Since these quarters were made with 90% silver, their intrinsic value is tied to the current market price of silver. As silver prices rise, the value of these quarters increases. Even without any minting errors, a 1969 quarter could be worth a few dollars based on its silver content alone. At the current silver prices, the melt value of a single 1969 quarter can be around $5 to $10 or more, depending on market conditions. High-grade condition. Coins in pristine, uncirculated condition are always worth more than their worn counterparts. Graded coins are evaluated on their physical state, and those with higher grades, such as MS-65 or MS-66, are particularly valuable. If you have a 1969 Washington quarter that is in mint condition, you could see it selling for hundreds of dollars at auction. Collectors are often willing to pay a premium for these well-preserved pieces. Low mintage varieties. While millions of 1969 Washington quarters were produced, the 1969 D variety, in particular, is more valuable than the Philadelphia minted versions, primarily due to the overall lower quantity and the rarity of well-preserved specimens. If you happen to own a well-graded 1969 D quarter, its value could increase significantly, sometimes reaching $100 or more, depending on its condition and any potential errors. The big value. Now, let's get to the most exciting part. How much is your 1969 Washington quarter worth? Well, the value can range from just a few dollars for a regular, worn coin to hundreds or even thousands for high-grade or error coins. Let's break it down. Regular 1969 Washington quarters. If you have a standard, circulated 1969 quarter, it may be worth $5 to $10 based on its silver content. 1969 DDO, double die obverse, error coins. These rare errors can command prices of $1,000 to $10,000 or more, depending on the coin's condition and rarity. High-grade 1969 quarters, a quarter in pristine, uncirculated condition could sell for several $100s or more. Top-grade proof coins. A 1969 proof quarter in perfect condition could be worth $500 to $2,000, depending on demand and condition. Washington quarter dollar, a coin with hidden value. Let's start by setting the stage. The 1966 Washington quarter dollar may look like any other quarter from the 1960s at first glance, but it holds a secret that could make it worth far more than its face value of just 25 cents. Like most quarters from this time, it features George Washington's portrait on the front and an eagle on the back. But here's the twist: despite its common appearance, some very rare 1966 quarters are worth much more than you might expect. What makes the 1966 quarter so special? So, what makes the 1966 Washington quarter dollar so valuable? The truth is, it all comes down to a few rare, little-known factors that can make these quarters extremely valuable, particularly if you find one with a special error or in pristine condition. One key feature that stands out for collectors is the minting error. Some 1966 quarters were struck with misalignments, double strikes, or other manufacturing errors that make them rare and incredibly valuable. One of the most coveted is the 1966 quarter with no mint mark. Normally, quarters from that era would have a mint mark indicating where they were made: Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. However, a small number of 1,966 quarters were produced at the Philadelphia Mint but lack a mint mark, making them a highly sought-after error coin. Why are these coins worth so much? Now, you might be wondering, why is a 1966 quarter with no mint mark worth so much? Here's where things get exciting. Due to its rarity and high demand, these error coins are valued at a much higher price than most other quarters. Condition matters too. If you find one in mint condition, like a coin that hasn't been worn down by circulation over the years, you could be holding a coin worth hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars. In fact, a high-quality 1966 Washington quarter with no mint mark can be worth anywhere from $200 to $4,000 or more depending on its condition, rarity, and whether there are additional errors such as double strikes or unusual die markings. Some of these rare coins have sold for $10,000 or higher at auctions, making them extremely valuable to collectors looking for unique pieces to add to their collections. The importance of condition and errors. The condition of the coin plays a significant role in determining its value. A quarter in uncirculated, MS 60 to MS 70, condition will fetch a higher price than one that's been heavily circulated. Additionally, certain varieties of the 1966 quarter, such as those with striking errors like doubling or off-center strikes, can push the price even higher. These error coins have become some of the most prized possessions in the numismatic world, and auctions have witnessed fierce bidding wars for rare examples. Real auction sales and shocking prices. The excitement doesn't stop there. Rare 1966 quarters with no mint mark and other notable errors have been sold for up to $12,000 in some instances. The scarcity of these coins, combined with the growing demand from collectors, has created a market where these coins are becoming more and more valuable by the year. The 1967 Washington quarter dollar, the mystery behind the coin. At first glance, the 1967 Washington quarter dollar might appear like just another run-of-the-mill coin from the era. It features the iconic image of George Washington, the first U.S. president, on the obverse, with the eagle, olive branch, and arrows on the reverse, symbolizing strength and peace. But here's where things get interesting: the 1967 quarter wasn't supposed to be special. However, some versions of this quarter have become incredibly rare, sought after by collectors, and even auctioned off for mind-boggling amounts of money. A rare phenomenon, the 1967 quarter dollar with no mint mark. Let's kick things off with the big one, the 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark. Normally, quarters minted in 1967 have a mint mark indicating whether they were produced at the Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S, mints. But a small number of these quarters from the Philadelphia Mint were struck without a mint mark, making them incredibly rare. In fact, this rare variety has sent collectors and numismatists into a frenzy. Coins like this are often known as errors, a mistake during production that, ironically, makes them even more valuable. The rarity of this error creates intense competition among collectors. As time passes, fewer and fewer of these unique pieces exist, pushing their value higher and higher. Why are these quarters so valuable? Now, you might be wondering, why is this coin worth so much? Well, here's where things get interesting. As the years have gone by, the demand for these coins has skyrocketed. Coin collectors, investors, and history enthusiasts all want a piece of this rare treasure. So what can you expect to pay, or even earn, if you come across one of these rare 1967 Washington quarters? In pristine or uncirculated condition, the 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark can fetch anywhere between $500 to $5,000, and sometimes even more, depending on its rarity and condition. That's right. A coin worth 25 cents could be worth hundreds or even thousands. Imagine holding that in your hands and thinking about its value. The top dollar coins, how rare coins can earn you thousands. If the coin has an additional error, such as being double-struck or showing a misalignment, it could skyrocket in value. These errors are what truly set some 1967 Washington quarters apart from the rest. The more unique and well-preserved the coin is, the more valuable it becomes. Auction sales that shocked the world. Some 1967 Washington quarters with no mint mark have even sold at auctions for more than $10,000. Yes, you read that correctly, a 25-cent coin worth $10,000. What makes these prices so exciting is that the rarer the coin, the more money it can pull in at auction, sometimes even climbing into the tens of thousands. So, whether you've just inherited a collection of old coins or are stumbling upon one of these rare gems in your pocket change, the 1967 Washington quarter dollar is a coin you need to pay attention to. As we've seen, these rare versions aren't just collectible, they're valuable treasures waiting to be uncovered. The 1977 Washington quarter dollar, a coin with potential. The 1977 Washington quarter might not seem special at first. It features George Washington's classic portrait on the obverse and the majestic eagle on the reverse, just like any other quarter. But here's the exciting twist, the 1977 quarter isn't just another coin circulating in your pocket change. Some extremely rare versions of this coin could be worth much, much more. We're talking about a coin worth hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of dollars. Yes, you heard that right. What makes the 1977 Washington quarter so valuable? The key to the 1977 Washington quarter's value lies in its rarity and condition. While most 1977 quarters were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, there are certain error varieties that make certain quarters from this year worth a small fortune. One of the most highly coveted versions is the 1977 Washington quarter with an error, such as a double die, a misaligned strike, or other production anomalies. These errors, which may seem like imperfections, are actually what make these coins so precious. Due to these striking imperfections, these quarters are often worth far more than their face value, sometimes reaching thousands of dollars. The importance of mint errors. Let's break it down. What exactly are these mint errors, and why do they matter? Minting errors can occur in various forms, such as double die errors. This happens when the coin is struck twice, leaving behind a visible doubling effect on the design, often seen on the lettering and the date. Misaligned strikes. If the die that strikes the coin isn't perfectly aligned, it can result in a coin with an off-center design. Repunched mint marks. Some 1977 quarters were struck with mint marks that were incorrectly punched multiple times, leaving behind a unique variation that collectors crave. These types of minting mistakes are not common, and their rarity is what makes these coins so desirable. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins like these, pushing their value into the hundreds or thousands. Why is this coin worth so much? If you manage to find a 1977 Washington quarter with one of these error varieties, your quarter could be worth far more than you ever imagined. A coin in pristine, uncirculated condition can skyrocket in value, with some rare examples reaching $1,000 to $5,000 or even higher. But the real excitement happens when these quarters are auctioned off. In rare cases, depending on the specific error and its rarity, they can fetch up to $10,000 or even more. Real auction sales and big surprises. To give you an idea of how much these coins are truly worth, there have been several auctions where 1977 Washington quarters with significant errors have sold for amounts well into the thousands of dollars. The more unique the error, and the better the condition, the higher the price tag. It's not uncommon for rare examples to sell for $5,000, $8,000, and even as high as $15,000 at well-known coin auctions. The hunt is on. Could you have one? Here's the best part. You might already have a rare 1977 Washington quarter sitting in your collection or pocket change. As with many rare coins, the most valuable ones often slip under the radar. That's why it's essential to look closely at your 1977 quarters for any unusual signs of minting errors. If you spot any, you could be looking at an extremely valuable coin. Hold on to your seats, coin collectors. Imagine holding a simple coin in your hand, a coin that could be worth thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, that dream could be a reality if you've got a 1992 D Washington quarter, but wait, not just any 1992 D quarter. We're talking about the rarest of the rare. In this video, you'll uncover the mystery of this valuable coin, the 1992 D Washington quarter, and why it could be sitting in your change jar right now, quietly waiting for its moment to shine. This isn't just another quarter, it's a potential treasure that might just turn your collection into a small fortune. Stick around to the end because you won't want to miss the shocking values of this coin that could go for hundreds to thousands of dollars, and in some cases, even more. Get ready, let's dive into the thrilling history and jaw-dropping value of the 1992 D Washington quarter. The 1992 D Washington quarter, a brief history. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932, and it quickly became one of the most recognizable coins in the United States. The coin features the profile of George Washington, the first president of the U.S., on the obverse side, and a depiction of a majestic eagle on the reverse. Over the decades, the design has remained a staple of American currency, and despite minor changes, it remains beloved by collectors. However, when we talk about the 1992 D Washington quarter, there's one key detail that sets it apart from the rest: rarity. While most quarters from 1992 might be fairly common, the 1992 D Washington quarter is famous for a certain unique characteristic, a minting error that has caught the eyes of numismatists and collectors alike. The minting error, the key to its value. It's no secret that rare minting errors can skyrocket the value of coins, and that's exactly what happened with the 1992 D Washington quarter. Most 1992 D quarters are fairly standard, produced in high numbers by the Denver Mint, hence the D mint mark. However, the rare ones have a specific mistake, a clash die error, where the design from the obverse, the front, and reverse, the back, of the coin overlaps because of an issue in the minting process. What makes this error so special? Well, it makes these coins incredibly difficult to find in circulation, and when they do appear, they can command astonishing prices. In the world of coin collecting, such errors are highly prized because they are unintentional, making them unique and much more valuable than typical coins. Another aspect contributing to the rarity of the 1992 D Washington quarter is the overall low production that year. While millions of quarters were minted, only a small number ended up with the error, adding to its mystique and value. These rare error coins are sought after by collectors looking to complete their collections or add a significant piece to their portfolios. What makes the 1992 D Washington quarter so valuable? The 1992 D Washington quarter is a perfect example of how rarity, condition, and demand come together to make a coin incredibly valuable. So, let's break it down. Minting error. The primary reason behind the massive value of certain 1992 D quarters is the clash die error or other rarity-inducing flaws. These types of errors are uncommon, and as time goes by, the number of these rare quarters decreases, making the few remaining examples even more sought after. Condition of the coin. Like any other coin, the condition of the 1992 D quarter plays a significant role in determining its value. Coins that are in mint or near mint condition, graded at MS 65 or higher, can command higher prices because they are visually stunning and have not been worn down by circulation. The better the condition, the higher the value. Collector demand. Collectors of all levels covet coins with error features, and as awareness of the rarity of the 1992 D Washington quarter grows, so does its demand. With the rise in interest from both casual collectors and numismatists, the price of these quarters has only gone up. How much could your 1992 D quarter be worth? Now, let's get to the part you've all been waiting for. Just how much could a 1992 D Washington quarter be worth? Well, if you're lucky enough to have one with a clash die error or any other rare minting mistake, you could be sitting on a small fortune. In circulation condition, lower grade. If the coin is in lower grade condition, a few scratches or wear from circulation, it might not fetch much, likely in the $5 to $10 range. However, this is still a small profit for a coin that originally had a face value of just 25 cents. In mint condition, higher grade 4 quarters that are in good to excellent condition, MS 63 or higher, you could see prices ranging anywhere from $50 to $200. It's important to note that this is just for coins that show clear signs of the error but are still in decent condition. Coins with major errors or mint flaws. The real jackpot comes when the error is pronounced, a clash die or off-center strike that is clearly visible to the naked eye. In MS 65 or MS 66 condition, such a coin could be worth anywhere from $500 to $2,000. Top condition and highly desirable errors, but here's where things get really exciting. In near-perfect condition, or if you happen to have one of the ultra-rare 1992 D Washington quarters with a major minting error, like an off-center strike, doubling, or deep die clash, your coin could easily fetch $5,000 or more. In extremely rare instances, these error coins can even reach $10,000, $20,000, or more, depending on the exact nature of the mistake and the demand for the coin at the time. How to spot a valuable 1992 D Washington quarter. So, how can you tell if you've got a gem hiding in your pocket change? The key is to examine the details carefully. Here are a few tips for spotting a rare 1992 D Washington quarter. Look for minting errors. The most notable errors to look for are clash die errors or double strikes where you might see parts of the design from the reverse overlapping the obverse. These errors are more obvious when you inspect the coin closely. Inspect the coin's condition. Take a good look at the coin's condition. A mint state coin will have sharp details, no wear, and will show minimal signs of handling. The better the condition, the more valuable the coin. Check for unique features. Sometimes, the error might be more subtle, such as misaligned dies or off-center strikes. If the coin looks even slightly different from a regular 1992 D quarter, it could be worth something special. Conclusion. In conclusion, the 1992 D Washington quarter may look like just another quarter to the untrained eye, but it could be a hidden treasure worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. Whether you've been collecting coins for years or are just starting out, this coin could be a game changer for your collection. Keep your eyes peeled, inspect your change carefully, and you might just find the 1992 D Washington quarter that will make you a small fortune. So, is there a $10,000 quarter in your pocket right now? Only one way to find out. Happy hunting, and don't forget to subscribe for more exciting coin adventures.